Okay, so if you've ever owned a Dendrobium Nobile orchid, you probably know the feeling all too well. You wait patiently all year long for this spectacular, fragrant cascade of flowers, only to get, well, something else entirely. Today, we're going to crack the code on how to get the incredible blooms you've been dreaming of.
See, this is the central problem pretty much every single owner of this orchid faces. It's the battle between what you want, the flower, and what you so often get, the keiki. Let's break down exactly what that looks like.
So on the one hand, here's the bowl. This incredible full stem of vibrant, beautiful flowers. Just amazing. But on the other hand, here's the reality for so many of us. A bunch of little leafy baby plants just popping out all over the place. These are called keikis, and while, they're a sign the plant is alive, they are definitely not the main event we were hoping for.
And so you're left asking that one question that has frustrated just countless orchid lovers. Why? Why am I getting these little plantlets instead of the magnificent flowers I was promised? It really feels like you're doing something wrong, but the answer is, well, it's incredibly counterintuitive.
So first off, what even is a keiki? It's pronounced K-K, and it's essentially a perfect little clone of the mother plant. You can think of it as the plant's safety plan. It's the low-risk, low-energy way to reproduce. And that is the complete opposite of flowering, which takes a massive amount of energy.
So how do we convince the plant to take that high-energy risk and actually flower? Well, the secret isn't more care. It's not more fertilizer, not more water. Nope, it is the exact opposite. We actually need to trick the plant by perfectly mimicking the harsh, dry winter of its native home in the Himalayan foothills.
Now, just look at this contrast. It's pretty wild. In its native home, this orchid goes through a hot, soaking wet summer. But then winter hits, and it gets cold, incredibly dry, with almost no rain at all. Now think about our homes. We give it stable warmth and consistent water all year round. We've basically eliminated the single most important signal the plant is listening for.
To get flowers, we have to recreate that signal ourselves using 3 key environmental stressors. We need cool nights, we need bright indirect light, and this is the absolute game changer, we need a period of severe water restriction. I'm not just talking about letting it dry out a bit between waterings, I mean a profound drought.
This drought isn't just a suggestion. It's a powerful, urgent message. It forces the plant to make a hormonal choice between just surviving by making keikis or making a spectacular last-ditch reproductive effort with flowers. We are essentially sending it a life-or-death signal.
And let's let that really sink in. The plant isn't just a little thirsty. From a biological point of view, it perceives this long period without water as a profound existential threat. It basically believes its entire environment is collapsing and it might not survive. And that triggers a very specific, very ancient survival mechanism.
And this right here shows you the chemistry that's at play. When you give it consistent water, the plant just kind of cruises along, producing growth hormones. And that leads to keikis, the safe bet. But when you impose that severe drought, the plant panics. It floods its system with stress hormones, and that flips a giant switch, telling every single node on that stem, forget growth, it is time to make flowers right now.
All right, so how do you actually do this? How do you apply this tough love? It's a clear, really straightforward protocol that just mimics that Himalayan winter. So let's walk through the steps. First things first, you have to wait until the new canes are fully grown. Then, find a cool spot, maybe an unheated room or a chilly windowsill. Number 3, and I really cannot stress this enough, you stop watering completely. The pot needs to be bone dry for weeks. And finally, make sure it still gets plenty of bright indirect light. It's that simple, but believe me, that third step is where most people get nervous.
And during this dry period, something's going to happen that will test your nerve. The canes are going to start to shrivel up and look wrinkled. And every instinct in your body will scream, water it, save it. You have to resist that urge. That shriveling is not a sign of failure. It is the sign that the protocol is working perfectly.
The source material puts it perfectly here. The goal is to make it shrivel. That's the physical proof you're looking for. It shows that the plant is using up its internal water supply, and that you've successfully sent that all-important stress signal. This is the visual cue that hormonal switch we talked about is being flipped.
So after this period of disciplined neglect, you finally get to witness the incredible transformation. The plant, now convinced it needs to reproduce, shifts from just surviving into putting on a spectacular show. This is where all that patience really pays off. So the timeline usually looks something like this. In the late fall, you start the rest period and you cut off the water. By midwinter, you should see that wrinkling and you'll know that's a good thing. Then, in late winter, you'll start to see these small round bumps appearing on the stem. Those are your flower buds. And only then can you finally start to water again.
And this is the final, absolutely critical piece of advice. You must wait until you can clearly see those little round, knobby buds. If you water it too soon, when they're just tiny little points, that sudden rush of moisture can confuse the plant, causing it to just abandon the flowers and go right back to making keikis instead.
So the whole point, the big takeaway here is this. We have to fight our instinct to nurture. The secret to unlocking the incredible beauty of this orchid isn't about more care. It's about faithfully and bravely replicating the harsh stress that actually defines its life cycle.
It's a complete shift in mindset from how we normally care for plants. You have to stop thinking like a nurturer and start thinking like a nature simulator in all its harshness. So the question is, are you ready to embrace a little tough love for an absolutely unforgettable reward?